This is Ricky the Hitman Hatton, and you're watching Lights Out.
This is Faisal Khan for Lights Out, and with me via Zoom, delighted to be joined by Mr. Tyrone Mckenna. Tyrone McKenna, happy as always. How's it going?
Up that on, back in camp. I didn't think I'd have to see these four hotel walls for a long time, but unfortunately, my fight didn't go ahead, so I'm right back where I belong.
Well, let's just talk about that whole episode over in Dubai. It was scheduled to be on the Carl Frampton Jamal Herring undercard. He was meant to take on Zankosh Turarov. The fight got cancelled, I believe, the night before. What was the main reason why that fight did not happen in the end?
Well, it was ultimately down to COVID. He failed the COVID test. He tested positive, so unfortunately, the first time he had failed, it was a inconclusive result. So it wasn't that he failed, like was negative or positive. So straight away they retested him. He isolated in the hotel room. I didn't know any of this was happening, and he isolated in his hotel room for a week. Well, for the next couple of days, and until we got the results back. And unfortunately, the test was positive, and I found out the day of the fight, and I was absolutely gutted.
In the build-up during the fight, obviously during fight week, was there no talk about a potential replacement if that fight didn't go ahead? Because obviously now we've got this whole COVID situation, and it is likely that fighter might test positive during fight week. So was there like no plan B leading up into that fight?
It doesn't seem so. I think there really should have been, especially the first one where he tested inconclusive. I think maybe they should try and maybe make it back up there and then, but nothing didn't seem was there. Whether it's maybe it's hard to get a backup in when you have to go through all these tests, and maybe it isn't viable. I don't know, but yeah, I was gutted that I didn't get anything, no fight, no nothing. So, well, that is what it is. I mean, it's tough enough to get opportunities in this current climate that I was grateful to even get the opportunity, but hopefully it won't be too long until I'm back out.
What was your initial feeling when you heard the news about the fight not going ahead? Because obviously you flew out all the way to Dubai. It was on a very, very good card, such as the Frampton Herring undercard, and in the end it just collapsed at the last minute.
Yeah, well, I was just got deflated because in a way you'd rather get beat or lose than actually have no fight, because at least you get the opportunity to showcase what you've trained 11 weeks for, and you get the opportunity to get a chance to win. So I think this is actually the worst kind of scenario it can be, that you don't even get the fight, you don't get paid, you don't get nothing, you don't get the big night, you don't get the fun, because the 11 weeks of camp are the 11 weeks that I hate, of being away from family, dieting every day, training, sparring, doing all the hard work, and then I love fighting. So I remember saying before the weigh-in, I was on the phone to my mates from McCall, and I said, finally all the hard work's done after the night. I won't have to do this again for a weigh-in, and I can do the fun bit, which is fighting, and that didn't get to happen, and I'm here, so I was deflated just.
Well, everything happens for a reason, Tyrone, and of course, some things just aren't meant to be. And unfortunately for you, it was the worst case scenario. But you mentioned before we began the interview, you're back in camp. Just talk to us. How has the beginning of camp gone so far, and what can we expect to see next in terms of your next opponent?
Well, camp's camp. It's the first 8 day down. I just had a nice, not a very hard day today. My weight's good going into after having the 2 week break. I came home. I came back. I'm still pretty relatively late and still fit. So it's going to be a good start to camp. No matter who I fight, I've fight in 6 weeks, so I'm more than ready. So that is a good thing to good scenario to be in. But fate wise, I think it's still going to be Turarov. I mean, I know he wants it still, and I want it still. I still want to fight for that belt. I mean, it's an unbelievable belt to fight for. So hopefully, hopefully I can get arranged. Sooner the better. I'm sure he's still fit. And he's still relatively late. So yeah, that's as soon as that can happen. I'll be more than happy to fight him. If for whatever reason he can't fight in June or July, then I'd like to look elsewhere. Maybe Lewis Ritson if he needs a fight, or someone of that kind of caliber, closer to home.
You've obviously been in a few episodes in this boxing game. I mean, obviously everyone remembers the heated rivalry with O'Hara Davis and of course Philip Sutcliffe as well. You know, you've given us some memorable yet controversial moments in boxing, which is why I think everyone likes having you around in the game right now. Obviously, the fight with Turarov is the one that you want, and then you mentioned that there's a potential fight with Lewis Ritson. You know, you're number 18 in the ranking, he's at number 17. But what is the number one ambition for you from now till the rest of the year, the rest of 2021?
I think it's still an opportunity to become world champion. When or if the fight with Turarov happens and when I beat him, I get that WBO Intercontinental belt. I'm going to be top 10, top 5 ranked in WBO. And Josh Taylor, hopefully he wins his unification and he said he may move up and vacate all the belts. So there'll be a lot of opportunity to become world champion there. So I think I'm only 1 or 2 fights away from becoming a world champion. But I just want to be in exciting fights. I thought me and Turarov was going to be a very exciting fight. I'm not a fighter that goes, I want to be world champion. I want to be world champion. I just want to create memorable nights and memorable fights that everyone really, really enjoys and become maybe one of Ireland's most entertaining fighters. And I think Turarov would have been a great fight for the fans. I mean, he's very hard hitting and he's not that hard to land if I want to throw shots. So I think it would have been entertaining. I would love to still have a fight, but Lewis Ritson as well. As you said, he's a very entertaining fighter. I'm a big fan of Lewis Ritson. I love watching his fights, so I think I'd be an entertaining one for the fans. But yeah, I just want to keep winning and get as much fights as possible because obviously it hasn't been a very active year for any boxer. So I want to make up for lost time. I'm not the youngest guy in the world. I'm 31, so I need to get the fights on them about.
It's good to see that you've got that ambition and you're talking about, you know, world title fights, hopefully from now till the end of the year. And as you mentioned, Josh Taylor does take on Jose Ramirez, and a lot of people having been the favorite going into that fight. And, you know, perhaps if he does win that fight, he will go up to 147. But then there's still good fighters such as Regis Prograis, you know, Jose Zepeda, Anel Barboza Jr. Obviously, a lot of people would say that maybe Regis Prograis will be the number one guy after Taylor or Ramirez wins that fight and moves up. Regis Prograis is a guy that you might have to face at some point. Firstly, thoughts on Regis Prograis. What happens if you and him do end up getting into a fight for one of those vacant world titles?
I've actually now watched a lot of Prograis. I've only watched him the one time when I was against Georgia, Josh Taylor, and it was a very, very exciting fight, an unbelievable fight to watch. And he comes to entertain. That's another entertaining fight. I just love entertaining fights, and he's an entertaining fighter, so I would love to fight him. I even seen Zepeda, is he called?
Zepeda.
Yeah, I seen his opponent pulled out last week, or something happened with his opponent. He was a fight in 7 weeks' time. And straight away I said to my manager, give me that fight. I mean, he's number 4 in the world. And again, I think I would be an entertaining fight. I mean, I don't want to be in boring fights anymore. My last fight wasn't the most entertaining fight. And I don't ever want to be in a boring fight like that again. I hated the remark after that fight. Because usually I'm in wars and people love watching that kind of fights, and that's the kind of fights I want to be involved in. So on my radar is only entertaining fights, and the likes of Zepeda and Prograis and all that kind of fights are the ones that I want to watch. or want to fight Lewis Ritson, Turarov, people like that.
Sometimes when you talk about yourself, obviously that rivalry with O'Hara Davis, people still talk about it till this day. You know, the build up to that fight. I mean, I remember the scuffle you guys had outside York Hall. As you mentioned, it wasn't obviously remembered for the greatest of fights, but
Yeah.
you love fighting. You know, it's in your blood, it's in your DNA. Is a rematch with O'Hara Davis something you want to one day perhaps look at again and perhaps avenge that defeat?
Yeah, well, I'm not a guy that cries and calls out people. And, well, I do call out people. I'm not a guy that cries and calls rematches and says, "Oh, I didn't get a fair shake at the judging or whatever they got." So I'm not going to cry and call them out and call for rematch. But if a rematch was presented and the opportunity was there, I would 100% take it. And I think it'll be a completely different fight. I think I wouldn't go on the back foot. I know going over to the UK and fighting as an Irishman, you might have to go forward a bit more. You might have to be more aggressive if you want to get the rounds. And I think that's what I liked the last fight. I think I took it for granted that I was winning the fight on the back foot, and I should have maybe pushed more. So I think if I did fight him again, it would be a lot more entertaining, and I think it'd be a completely different fight.
Yesterday, we had reports breaking out to us that the Tyson Fury versus Anthony Joshua fight is likely to take place in Saudi Arabia. I remember when I first done an interview with you, you spoke very highly of Tyson Fury. I know you're a big fan of his. It's just, it's all up in the air at the moment. One minute we're hearing this location, and then we're hearing this date that the fight's going to be penciled in. Well, what's your thoughts on this whole situation between Fury and Joshua? Do you believe that the fight is actually going to happen?
Yeah, I think it'll definitely happen. It has to happen. I mean, there's too much talk. There's too much money involved. I think there's too much money to be gained that people won't want to make it happen. So I think 100% think that's going to be happening next in the if not the summer, it's going to be this year anyway. Um, yeah, I just don't think it can't not happen. There's too much hype about it, too much talk about it. I mean, every day there's something new wrote on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram. Eddie Hearn saying stuff, Bob Arum saying stuff, Frank Warren saying stuff. So, and the two fighters are giving it these are so it's too big not to happen. It has to happen this year.
What happens when the fight does happen? What are you predicting? And I know you're a man of, you know, you're a man that says it as it is. So I don't want to hear Fury will win. I don't want to hear Joshua will win. I want you to be brutally honest with me. What does happen when that fight happens?
I think Joshua doesn't land a punch. I think Fury Fury's too fast and too elusive and too. He's like a late middleweight in a heavyweight's body. The way he moves, I think Josh is just not capable to be able to have a game plan towards it. And I think Fury's proven how good his chin is. He'd been knocked down by the hardest hitter in the heavyweight division and got back up again. So I just don't think anyone can beat Fury at in the world at the minute.
Well, I think you've just given me the perfect title for this interview. So you say Tyson Fury is like a light middleweight in a heavyweight's body.
Yep, 100%. The way he moves is you don't see any heavyweights moving like that. He's so late in the fight and reactions are unbelievable and his hand speed's unbelievable. I think he's unbelievable. Like, he's one of the greatest heavyweights there's been.
I was having a debate with somebody at work yesterday, and we were discussing the era of the likes of the Alis, the Fraziers, you know, that type of era, the George Foremans. How do you think Tyson Fury would have got on in that era?
I think he'd have been just as good as he is now. He'd have been one of the best there. Don't know about beating Ali, but I think 90% of the heavyweights that existed, Tyson Fury would beat or I would beat. I think he's up there as one of the top 5 heavyweights that's ever lived. I think he's unbelievable.
Fair enough. I think a lot of people will agree with you. Some people obviously won't agree with you, but that's just the that's what we love about boxing. Final question. I just want to get your thoughts away from boxing about this whole fiasco that we've had to go through the last few days of the European Super League. It's definitely been a topic on everyone's mind. What was your thoughts on it, and of course, your thoughts on the outcome as well in the end?
When I heard about it, I was proper disgusted. Like absolutely ruined football. I mean, it was all about greed and all about money, and the teams that were going in it. I couldn't believe that it signed up, and I think as soon as it was announced, it was never going to take off because footballers were going to be told they weren't going to the World Cup, they weren't going into the UEFA Cup or Champions League, and that's the kind of thing cups they want to win. They want to represent the country in the World Cup and win World Cups for the country. So I think once that was said, I think 90% of footballers would have left their club to pursue going to different clubs so they could enter them and kind of competitions. But I think it's a right thing. I mean, I've seen Arsenal apologising, saying admitting that they made a mistake, which I thought was very big of them. But I think it was always once I heard it, and after about a day of reading stuff, I just thought this is never going to take off, and rightfully so. It shouldn't take off. It was a bit of a joke. I think it was a disgrace that anyone even put their names forward for the Super League, and it had ruined football. It'd have been like I don't know what it'd have been like. It would have just ruined football.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of people say that over these last 48, 72 hours about the European Super League. And a lot of people have said exactly what you said, that it would have ruined British football, it would have ruined a lot of tradition, and it would have killed a lot of history. And as you can see,
I think a lot of people would have stopped watching football. Wouldn't have been interested. Like even as an Everton fan, like say Everton, the Super League happened and Everton were topping the Premiership next year, you wouldn't have been as happy to see it.
Yeah,
Because it was a fake, it wasn't a real Premiership you were winning and stuff like that. Like no one really took interest in football no more. I don't think because it would have been all the history and everything with it would just been ruined.
it certainly takes a lot of competitiveness. It would have taken a lot of competitiveness away as well if you had 6 of the best teams from the country going into this European Super League. But you know what? One thing I think we've learned is that football, the fans united as one, and that was actually the biggest plus to come out.
That basically showed you that the people took control of the situation. People showed how powerful they are if they come together, and every fan made their teams change their mind and go against what they went for. So if they hadn't done that, the Super League would have probably went ahead, but they stood up for their ground and got it sorted, thankfully.
Well, it's good to see the footballing world, the footballing fans unite as one and put a stop to this so-called European Super League that definitely doesn't look like it will be happening now. Tyrone Mckenna, thank you very much for your time. Good finally catching up with you. We hope all goes well during camp, and we look forward to hearing from you soon. And we'll keep an eye out for the next announcement, hopefully for that Turarov fight.
Yeah, hopefully. See you later. Thank you for having me. See ya.
As always, Tyrone Mckenna, thank you very much for talking to Lights Out.